What's up, everybody? It's Joel Cupcake here, back with another episode of Pex Pals, the only Apex Legends podcast for the mediocre gamer. And you know what? Calvin, he left me. He's out of the fucking office. He's actually out of the country. I have an amazing guest co-host. You're not even a guest on the show, Wyatt. You're a guest co-host, bro. Like, thank you. This is Wyatt, everybody. He is from the Grab My Banner podcast and the brand new Apex and Apex Legends podcast.
Yes, sir.
So he's a Apex podcasting expert, but most importantly, Wyatt, you're a mediocre gamer.
Yes, 100% I am. I'm so bad. Actually, the latest episode of the Apex, we just dropped it, and there was a segment that I started called the Casual Corner because
I love that.
The hosts on the show are Enoch, who's a pred, and Finicky, who is also a pred and used to play in the ALGS and is qualified. And I have barely made it to Diamond twice in my entire Apex career. So they were talking all these strats, they were doing all these crazy things, talking about it, and I was like, hey, what about this? And they were like, eh. So definitely casual, and I think the Casual Corner will be a fun little thing moving forward on that show. But yeah, I'm excited to hop on here and co-host. I like it's like one step above being an interview, right? You get like you just kind of take the reins. It's crazy.
Yeah, no. And like, I love your show. And like, we have been like sliding into each other's DMs and shit. Like, you know, we're aware of everybody. It's like funny. Like, we started this show. We gained a little bit of like traction. Not that we give a shit about that. I know you guys don't either on the banner. You know what I mean? And it's like, I kind of started interacting with all the other Apex podcasts. And you were the only one that was like, cool.
Yeah, that's the one thing, man. I shouldn't really name them. I won't. But there's like
we can talk about it after the stream.
Yeah, we'll talk about it after. But there's a few Apex podcasts that are a little like tight knit, close to the vest, won't really interact with anybody else. I just don't believe in that. I feel like all the people who I talk to, they listen to everybody. So I'm thinking, okay, well, if they're listening to everybody, then let's talk to everybody. So I mean,
I love
no skin off my nose. I think everybody brings a different vibe to the scene. Like obviously the Apex is very interview based. It's going to be you know, all the content creators and pros and all that. Banner is very comedy based, where it's like we just try to find funny skits and make jokes about Wraith and her OnlyFans. And then, you know, we've got the mediocre gamer right here with the Pex Pals, where they're breaking it down for probably the biggest majority of gamers in the game, right? The casuals are we may not be very good, but we're the biggest army, right?
Yeah, I would like to say that like, you know, 100%. Like you said, you win a diamond twice. I win a diamond once.
There
you
we
know
go.
what I mean? I've been playing the game since launch. I think I took, God, what was the terrible season? 6. I think I took 6 off. Whenever the most recent Borderlands game came out, I like engrossed myself in that. Like, because I work full time. Actually, I work 2 jobs technically. So like, I only have time to do like 1 game at a time. But other than that one season, I've been playing since launch. You know what I mean?
I think that was when we started too. We started Banner in the midst of season 6, which I believe is truthfully the worst season of all time. It was so bad. They messed with the shields. They brought in Rampart, who seemed like a filler legend. And then Olympus was actually, I believe, supposed to drop in season 6. And they moved it back because of COVID, obviously. But we started our show and it felt like the game was falling apart. It felt like the game was over. And we had just started this show. And, you know, all of a sudden you're like, shit, like, what are we doing? But it was COVID, and, you know, the boys just wanted to chill. The boys just want to hang out, and we made the show. And then now we've got all these, you guys popped up, I think a few weeks later. I think I saw you guys on my Instagram feed. So it's, you know, it's been a tumultuous time in Apex Legends, but we're here and we're ready to go.
Dude, I love that. Yeah. So just for all of our concurrent listeners, again, you know, Wyatt's other 2 shows are the Grab My Banner podcast and the Apex. Check both of them out. Give him a holler.
Appreciate you guys.
Give them a holler. They have a fucking Discord. They do it all. That's all I'm gonna say. You know, for on the note of us, we finally launched the Pex Pals Discord. We finally launched some real basic merch too. Go check those out. The link is in the bio on the Instagram. Most of you know that's our most active actual platform. I'm not good at the tweeting and the TikToking. I'm a little too old to learn TikTok. I've been trying, and my brain just like lights. You know, like when you see the Marvin and it's like shut down. That's my brain when it comes to TikTok. You know what I mean?
I hate that.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. So everybody, please join the Discord. Let's talk about the show. talk about Apex, everything, leaks, gameplay, looking for groups. We got it all. Slide on in. And if you want to support and buy some merch, we'd appreciate it. Wyatt, my brother, thanks for being here.
Yes, sir.
For our regular listeners, they know what's going to be next. For those of you that are new to the show, we have a segment called Weapons of the Week. Wyatt, you're the guest. So so do you want to go first or do you want me to go first? What's more comfortable for you?
Yeah, you know what? I'll go first. I feel confident in my weapons of the week this week. And I could go with the easy pick, right? I could. For me anyway, the easy pick would have been the Volt. That would have been the easy pick. But I'm going to go with my side picks that I think people aren't talking about enough that could really help you out this season.
That's what the show's for.
There we go. I'm going number 1, the alternator. Now, never been a big alternator guy. Never in my life. Never been a big alternator guy. But with the change of taking away the barrel stabilizer and adding in the laser sight, the alternator is so consistent. It's so consistent.
Oh, it's the most consistent. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those guns, man, where you pick it up, and especially now, I feel like you know what you're going to get with it every single time. And now with the increased spread on hipfire with those laser sights, it's even better than before. And so I think the alternator would be my gun of the week.
I love that. You know what? That's actually been my most successful gun since we started. I'm literally picking up the alternator over the R3 right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad you didn't say the R3 because we have like a rule in the show. Calvin and I determined we're never allowed to say the R3 because it's the most consistent gun in the game. Like,
yeah.
In my opinion, it should stay in the crafter. It should never be grounded ever again.
I think that with the wingman, that's been my opinion. I think the wingman should be in the crafter.
I think the wingman is like Wraith and Horizon, and it should just be fucking deleted from the game.
Yeah,
but,
there we go.
But yeah, my weapon of the week this week, I'm actually just the surprise of absolutely no one that listens to the show. I'm going to go with the EVA 8. The buff was huge. As the guys at the the third party podcast, one of their listeners kind of broke Twitter today and revealed that if you go to the firing range and pull the trigger on the EVA on the wall, that 8th pellet, they never took it away, Wyatt.
Okay.
They told us they took the pellet away to balance the damage, and it's
classic
there.
Apex. That's just classic Apex. That's Apex is so good at like doing nerfs that they don't actually do, and then doing buffs that they forget to put in, and then put them in halfway through the season silently. It's just what they do.
Oh yeah. So there's an interesting video. I'll track it down. I'll send it to you, Wyatt, and I'll post it on our socials. But like somebody did a side-by-side comparison, and the EVA 8 with the double tap actually out damages the PK in both regards, both ADS or hipfire.
Yeah, I've seen that's like been an interesting debate too. And I think people like to hate on the Peacekeeper because you can hit the 9 and stuff like that. And I think this is the perfect like anti-hero to the Peacekeeper now, because before it was basically a cup holder. You could just put your beer on it on an EVA 8 and you'd call that good. Now it actually feels like it has some sort of viability and you can pick it up. And especially in this long range meta that we got going right now, you need something like this. I think you need to have one guy on your team who has like up close talent, and they need to be running an EVA 8 and some variation of the Volt and the car.
Yeah, so it's funny because I'm a Caustic main, as you and I talked about before we started the show. I mean, man, if I am Caustic and I get pushed and I have an EVA 8 with a digi threat, I have zero fear. Like,
no,
like, don't worry, I'm losing the fight. None of it. Like, so that's usually me. What I've been a really big fan of doing, man, if I'm being honest, is like I've been playing a shit ton of Vantage. We'll talk about her a little bit more in a little bit, but like I've been playing her, and I've just been running like. Because she has the sniper, like they have to change the rate of fire. Again, I'm jumping the gun. We'll get to that in a minute. But like with her long range gun, you can carry a sniper, but I don't. I've been running like EVA 8 alternator or car EVA 8 alongside her Vantage's ult. Like, what more do you need?
Exactly.
So, and then if I had to choose like an offbeat, like a lot of people are seeing the power of the EVA right now. This might interest you. You played the game for a long time. Were you ever a fan of the old school P20?
I was, and actually, we had Brian, who was our take smith. He just comes up with the most fiery, awful takes, and he came on the show this week and was dead serious that you should be running the P2020 into final circle, which I thought was comical, but I don't disagree with him in the fact that you could run that thing up until like I would say like 10 squads left if you have the hammer points, because it does have if you can aim and if you can have some sort of consistent trigger finger, you could actually do a fair amount of work with that P2020. I'd never tell Brian that to his face because I never want him to be right, because he's been my best friend since I was like in 3rd grade, and now I'm annoyed with him. I don't want him to be right ever. But I can say it here, and he won't know as long as nobody tells him. So I do think the P2020. I 100% agree with you. That gun it's a sneaky pick.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because remember when they announced like what was it like a week before the season or 2 weeks of this whole laser sight thing, and everybody freaked out, right? I got excited because in my head, like I don't know how you guys feel about it on your show, Wyatt, but here, Calvin and I, up until the changes 2 seasons ago, we were the #1 shippers of the Mozambique, dude. Like the Mozambique with the hammer points is probably the most slept on thing in the game, in my opinion. It's a little different now than it was, obviously. But I was like, oh, maybe we'll get a fucking laser sight on the beak. Like, that's just dumb. You know, that makes it, that propels it to top 5 gun, you know, if you get the hammer points. But they didn't do any of that. They didn't do it to the wingman. But surprisingly, it's almost like they forgot. And there's a laser sight for the P20.
Yeah.
And so
I think it's one of those weird things. It would be so good. It would be so good. I wonder if the reason why they left it out is because it would be overpowered. Because I agree with both of you. I was actually running it at the end of last season. I didn't play a whole lot of season 13. I really didn't enjoy the season. But at the end of last season, I was running exclusively Flatline and Mozambique. I was running those 2 weapons, and that was pretty much my entire loadout for the last like 3 weeks of the season.
Love it.
Because it was so good. And I mean, if you find hammer points off rip, if you're not running either the Mozambique or the RE45 at the end of last season, in my opinion, you were messing up. I thought both of those guns were so good and they were so slept on and underrated. But yeah, I agree with you guys. The Mozambique, I'm a huge fan of. And I kind of hope with all the gun movement that they've done, you know, like the wingman going to sniper ammo, the Spitfire going to light, if they moved the Mozambique into some sort of like, you know, light ammo / or like pistol class type thing where it's like it switches ammos to where we could have a laser sight, we could have a problem on our hands real fast. They might even have to nerf the 6-shot back down to the 4-shot, honestly.
On this show we've talked about how like there's a lot of advantages the sidearms people don't realize. You know, when you crouch and move with it out, you move faster, your aim's better, like all sorts of little, like we do a lot of like tips that people just don't realize in the game. You know what I mean? That being one of them. Like we talked a couple episodes ago about how the P20, when you used to ADS versus hip fire, when you hip fired, it actually increased the rate of fire. And that was the big change. And that's why I stopped using the P20, because it just couldn't keep up with like a PK or an EVA or a Flatline, you know, or someone who crouch spams everything with an R301. You know what I mean? But now that this laser sight's back, I've been running it, and I think it's the sleeper weapon right now, like you said, completely viable for most of the game.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
But yeah, you know, and I don't remember who it was. I went back and tried to check before you hopped in, but I didn't have time. But in ALGS, somebody was there was one person on one team that was legit running every game Spitfire beak hammer points. And it made me so happy to see like a pro on like the worldwide scale running the beak with the hammer points, because it's like somebody fucking gets it, dude.
Yeah, somebody's out there, they're understanding it. And also I feel like that's one of those guns, if you put the time and the effort and the work in with it, you will see results. And especially if you're running a Spitfire, and if that was the class he was running, I mean, how easy is it to just get any sort of shield break with a Spitfire? I feel like that's one of the easiest guns to get a shield break with. There's like almost zero recoil. It can shoot long range. You can put a long range scope on it, and then you just pop out your beak real fast and they're down.
Yeah. I mean, for season 1 of the show, we literally signed off every episode, Wyatt, with beak 6 feet deep. You know what I mean? Like it's easy, dude. It's easy. Like you're saying, man. And like that Spitfire, and you know, one thing that wasn't in the patch notes that I don't think anybody's really talking about, except for I've seen it a little bit on Twitter, but not really even on Reddit yet. Did you realize the Spitfire being a light gun with the purple mag, it's back up to 50 bullets?
It's insane. It's insane.
It's literally like, I was like, everybody threw a fit that they had to reduce the bullet, the capacity. And now the mag size is just silently back up, and it's almost like no one's saying anything.
Nobody's saying anything, and I feel like it's going to be one of those Seer situations, right? Where it was like, no, everybody thought after Seer got nerfed, it was like, oh, he's not good anymore. Like nobody even tried to test him out, and then his Watson was like, he's still good, guys.
Yeah.
He's actually still really good. And then he took, got 300K straight to the bank in the ALGS because he decided to be the first one to use the Seer. So I think the Spitfire is kind of in the same spot. I don't know why I'm not seeing more of them, if I'm going to be honest with you, especially at the lower rank that I'm at. I'm sitting at like, I think silver 2 right now. And I've rarely seen a Spitfire. It's actually really confusing because like you said, it gets the higher mag size, but it also like the only thing that got nerfed about it was the spread of the hip fire. Well, it's like, okay, you don't need it. You don't need a hip fire shot the Spitfire when you have like a secondary of the 8, right? So I don't know what's going on. I think eventually we will see people start using it pretty soon.
Well, and like they did increase the vertical recoil like a little bit on it, but like, dude, if you're playing on PC, that doesn't exist anyways. You know what I mean? And then like, I mean, I play on Xbox. I'm not sure what you play on, but even then, it's still. I spent a few minutes with it on the firing range, got the new recoil pattern down, and that's it. It's that's all she wrote, as they say.
That's all she wrote. That's all she wrote. I do play. So I play PC, but I play controller.
Respect.
Yeah.
I'm on the Series X, but I got the Elite 2 controller. So
sweet.
I'm still at the disadvantage, but that's why I've been going on rants episode after episode of like, where the fuck is my 120 frames update? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like, you still can't even go to the store and get like a PS5 yet. Like it's crazy. I feel like this entire launch has backfired on both companies, and I think they're kind of having to deal with some of the issues that come with that. And I feel like it might be a while before we see stuff like that change. And you talked to me a little bit about this before, but we're talking about consoles. Let's talk about Apex Legends a little bit here with the sound. Like, is this ever going to get fixed? I feel like, especially on Kings Canyon, I'm hearing people that I think are dead center right in front of me, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, that exact sound is coming. They're actually shooting from my left. So they're actually on my left around the mountain. It's like, when is this going to get any better? And the worst part is, man, they do this thing where they release a blog post saying, oh, this is what we're doing, which would normally be fine. And then you don't hear from them for like 6 more seasons. We got the blog post, I think, in like season 7 when Olympus dropped for the sound, and we haven't gotten anything since.
Yeah, and it's like, I think the only sounding they've actually fixed was there was like, I think it was season 7 or 8. They addressed like, when Octane takes off, it's not loud enough, so we're going to turn it up so you just don't get ambushed by Octane. That's the only thing they fixed. I mean, dude, I've been playing this game nonstop for this new season, Wyatt, and I don't know what you call them, but you know what the diving board is? You familiar with that term on Kings Canyon?
Yeah.
The two big bunkers that jut out over the cliffs. For those of you listening or watching, those of you that don't know, we are on YouTube. You can see my marginally handsome face and Wyatt's perfect beard on the YouTube if you subscribe. It's nice to have another beard guy on the show, dude. Calvin's I don't know if you've seen him, but he has like long curly Latin hair, glasses. He's like the pretty guy, and I'm like this scruffy, like covered in tattoos. I cuss too much. I interrupt Calvin like 20 times an episode. It's great, dude.
It's great. That's a perfect that's the perfect combination, really. And appreciate the beard shout out. We recently got a little bit of Manscaped on our side here, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. If you haven't tried out Manscaped, bro, listen. It's hot outside right now. I won't say anything more.
Plug your code. Plug your code, because I'm not going to hit them up. Plug them up. Plug it up, dude.
Listen. Code Banner, BANNER, Manscaped. And the coolest part about it, man, is like, I'm getting a little older, man. I'm starting to age a little bit, and my eyebrow hairs are getting crazy. My nose hairs are getting a little crazy. I'm starting to see some ear hair, bro. I got so many gray hairs popping up. I'm 26. I'm like, how the hell am I already getting grays? That's okay though. With Manscaped, I grabbed the little trimmer for my nose hair, for my ear hair, for my eyebrows. Oh, I'm feeling great.
I need to get that, bro. I'm 36, so we're 10 years apart. But I have like the real deal barber I have to go see every 3 weeks, and she just like strips me all. You know what I mean? And because it's too much to the point where I can't even do it at home.
Oh,
Like,
it's
like,
it was actually a lifesaver. It was actually kind of a lifesaver. I didn't realize
that's
how badly I needed it, but I
that.
appreciate the beard shout out. That's the only reason I brought it up because you brought up my
Yo,
beard.
but
I've
you
been
know what?
using
That's
it.
tight though. Like, congrats on that on this
Thank you.
ape hookup, dude. Like,
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
mean, that's fucking perfect, bro. That if they for some reason listen to this, like, yo, like
He's ready.
I'm pretty
He needs it.
popular. I got
Yeah.
a lot of followers on the gram. You know what I mean?
Give it to him. Give him code PEC. Give him code PALS.
Pex. Oh, pals.
PALS. There you go. Speaking of perfect beards, should we talk a little
Oh,
bit about Newcastle?
oh man. Okay. I love, dude. Look at you. You're already perfect co-host, everybody.
Bro,
Like,
listen. I'm hosting 2 shows out here, brother. I know what I'm doing.
well, now you're 3, kind of now.
3, kind
You
of.
know what I mean? Calvin's gone for 2 weeks. I might just have to call you again next week and be like, "What's up, bro?"
I'm down. We'll run it back.
But yeah, no, Newcastle. Listen, I've been playing him since he launched. Like, I thought he was great. I had some crazy plays. I have never, like, on the show, as I mentioned to you prior, like, we're for mediocre gamers, like, but as a mediocre gamer, one of the things I love is that I know I'm terrible. So there's a few things I see done in this game that amaze me. Like, we all have seen the crazy ape plays. We've seen the fucking, oh, you spun around on Octane's jump pad and hit fire, Kraber killed, got that. We've seen it. But I was literally mesmerized when Newcastle came out because I always butcher his name. Abrelelli, thank you. I tune in and he's playing Newcastle. And they're running, I believe it was Newcastle Horizon, and I want to say it was either Valk or Seer. This dude, Wyatt, they're on Stormpoint, and where Stormcatcher goes up to that little area with the launcher, where the ring always ends, and it's like 3 stories, and the people always try to fight on the ground, and it's terrible.
Yeah,
it ends on that hill on the slope, right? The round is ending. The fucking Horizon throws his ult, and what is it? Abrelelli literally pulls out a PK with a digi threat, jumps his ult directly into the Horizon, like the Horizon black hole. So it knocks and disorients all 3 people. Then when they get sucked back in, they all get shocked by the wall, and he wipes all 3 of them with the PK. Wyatt, I was like, that's the first time in a long time I've been watching a streamer where I was like just jaw dropped, dead silent, clipped it, sent it to all my friends. Like, I was like, dude, people don't understand how versatile Newcastle is.
And it's incredible too, because you want to think like, I think we're on the same page in this, because like you said, we've seen the fancy plays. I mean, you've seen it in every game. Every game has some sort of like fancy schmancy plays that can be done. No scopes, usually spins, all that crazy stuff. But what I've noticed in this game is I really love watching a good Gibraltar for the last, like, however many seasons. Resulta from G2. He is one of the most insane Gibraltars I've ever seen. I love watching a Gibraltar be able to take over the field of play whenever a battle starts. When they get the bubble down perfectly, when they get the execution with the shotgun shots, when they're able to bubble dance. Newcastle brings like that same type of play, but it's almost more mechanical and it's almost more difficult. And when they're able to do stuff like that, it really, like, for a guy like me, I look at that and I say, wow, like that's what I like to see. I like to see team cohesion based off of one guy who can kind of like push you forward so well that it surprises you. And that's what he does. I think Newcastle is essentially, it reminds me a lot of, like, I'm trying to think of it was from, I'm just gonna drop it, but there's like in other games you get legends where it's like they do things simplistically, right? I mean, Gibraltar's so simple. He throws the bubble down and you run in, and all you got to do is just survive. With Newcastle, there's all these different movement type things you can do, the shield placements for his tactical, there's all that, and then the right times to res and do all. I mean, man, he's got such a huge arsenal, and for somebody like Abrelelli, who's one of the most mechanically gifted players in this game, to watch him do what he does, I mean, it really shows the potential of some of these characters. And even like a legend like Vantage, when we get into her eventually, there's some things that she can do right now that I don't know if they're going to take out yet, but I kind of hope they don't. But like those mechanical plays and those defensive plays are so sick to me. They're so fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, and then they just buffed him, like their knockdown shields being stronger, and the the movement being increased when you're dragging them to res them, man, like it was all, I thought it was already like powerful. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
then they also, the change that I thought was interesting, which I think is a good for someone who plays cross plat a lot, like I do, and I complain about it on this show. I complain about when you play with me, shit. You know what I mean? Is in the patch notes, if you touch Newcastle's wall when it's electrified, what it was doing was it was only slowing your movement, but because the way the code is written for the game, it wasn't slowing your turning radius.
Mm.
So now it actually affects your turning radius and your movement.
Mhm.
So you can't just like jump over a wall, take the shock, but still 180 and pop them with a PK or a mastiff. Like it actually takes you slower to complete the rotation now from the view. So I
Mhm.
think that was great. Like, I have this. Calvin calls it a conspiracy theory. You know what I mean? Like, Calvin, if you listen to this episode, I don't really miss you because Wyatt's pretty fucking awesome. But I hope you have a good time in Portugal. I have this whole conspiracy where everything they do with legends, and you and I, we use the term balancing, right, Wyatt?
Mhm.
It's not. They don't balance. They use a legend to make you pick a different legend that has a lower pick rate.
Mhm.
Okay, and what I mean by that is Newcastle. Two things you probably don't realize right off the bat: the middle part of the T of the wall is the perfect height that it completely covers a Watson pylon,
Mhm.
and the in between the lower parts, it's the perfect height for you to put a rampart wall behind it.
Yeah.
Those are two legends not used at all. Now when they buffed Crypto because they gave him an heirloom, but also, I mean, I think the most hilarious thing you see is when you watch like scrims or last chance quals or whatever, like, or like any of the comps, and there's 3 Gibby bubbles down in the final circle, and then Crypto shoots out his drone and explodes all 3 of them. I think that's incredible.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense that they would make Maggie the hardest counter in the game to Gibby now.
Mhm.
Because I have a friend, Cody. He's actually going to be my guest. I think next week or the following week. Cody Axe. He's cracked. He's like one of those dudes, Wyatt. You can put any video game in front of him, and he'll master it in like the top 10% echelon of game of like gameplay. Like it's crazy. And excuse me, beer went down the wrong pipe. Hold on.
Hate that.
But yeah, he brought up a good point that like they can't really change Gibby. His ult started the longest cooldown. The whole reason people play him is you get a 360 degree of protection from the bubble. They already changed. He can't use items faster in the bubble. They already changed so many other aspects of his character. Like people are saying like, oh, well, Gibby's bad for comp or ranked or this or that. But like, what can you do aside from messing with them harder than they mess with Pathfinder?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I think it's good that now we have 2 legends that completely counter and are viable. And we got a little off subject, but I love Newcastle being their replacement, man. I talked about this on one of the episodes. The 100 Thieves team was actually kind of who implemented the Valk Gibby meta. And now they were the team in last ALGS that was running the Valk Newcastle Watson meta, which I love. I think of all the teams I saw, that one was my favorite. Only because it shows you how viable 2 underutilized legends are.
Yeah. I think the other part about Newcastle too is it's like this, I guess this kind of gets into like less technical terms, but if you were going to replace Gibby with anybody, it had to be Newcastle, right? He's got the lore behind him. He's badass. He's got the sickest beard, and the way that they made him just a huge, like almost pseudo ex-college football player. You had to have him as the next one, like I know they were trying with Rampart. I know they were trying a little bit to I guess she was more of a tank buster, but with Maggie, they try to have these aggressive style, like looking legends, and like they try to have their play style be so aggressive and stuff like that, which I guess Gibby kind of is. But I don't think anybody can replace Gibby except for Newcastle. So I'm really happy that they decided to go ahead and go with Newcastle on this. I was surprised he was the last in pick rate last season, to be honest with you, because I don't really branch out and play other legends too much. I kind of have like 2 that I stick with the entire time. And but I played him and I enjoyed the hell out of him. So I think I'm really happy to see him in the meta right now.
Yeah. It's funny because I got double heirloom shard last season. Like somehow I got that lucky.
Hell yeah.
So I actually went back and I bought lifelines, and I played Newcastle a bunch last season to the point where it spurred me to revisit Lifeline. Lifeline was my original main.
Yeah.
And like, dude, I'm a huge supporter of that last buff they gave her. She might not be like ALGS viable, but she is a lot more worth it to use. The smart loot system is actually smart. It actually works great. You know, if you pair her with a Loba so you can get the ultimate accelerants, man, like your team can be fully kitted before the first ring is over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you do it right, the double heal I think is actually sick. I think the Res E being the one to cancel the res, I think was a much needed like quality of life change. Because sometimes the Lifeline doesn't listen. Like, don't res me. There's a guy right there.
Yeah.
Now you can cancel it yourself.
Yeah, my thing with life. So she's my ex-wife, unfortunately. We just divorced recently.
That was some of my favorite things you ever content you've ever posted, bro. Was when you were on that whole thing.
So when the buff you talked about, when I heard about that, so I was also an original Lifeline main. I basically played only her until about season 7, and then I kind of had to switch because she was falling apart a little bit. And then she got that buff again, but I had already kind of switched over to Pathfinder, so I wasn't, playing her that much. I think to get Lifeline back to where she needs to be, because right now she's basically lost her job as the main healer in this game, right? Because Newcastle does everything Lifeline does, but just a little bit better. I think what you have to do is implement the original shield that she had while rezzing at 25%. Because remember what you could do with that shield was you could start the res and get somebody to try to push you, and then you let go and you are shredding them with whatever gun. A lot of times when I would use it back in like the early season, it was like an R99 or like a Peacekeeper. They're running up on you thinking that you're going to try to pull off that res. And if you're playing anybody who has like, half a brain, they are like, okay, he's going to try to do something. He's going to stop that res. But then there's a lot of people who are just like, I'm just going to bum rush it and I don't even care. And that's the people you down after that. And I think to get Lifeline back to that point, my ex-wife, please let me talk to the kids, AJ. I think that's what you have to do. I think you have to bring that shield back, and you have to, try to work her up from there. We have a conspiracy theory on Banner where we believe they'll never change her ult because it's in the introduction. It's in the tutorial. So we've talked about changing her ult, but I think Apex Legends Respawn's too lazy to change the tutorial. So that's our conspiracy. But they can change the tactical and they can change the passive. And I think they just got to go back to that original passive.
Yeah, the original passive, or like give her the gold bag perk permanently now. Like let her carry more. She is a medic. Like there's been a big subject. Like now that they've kind of balanced a lot of the assault legends, like as you mentioned, like now I'm seeing on Twitter a lot of people bringing up the like, yo, when are we getting a support legend? Like Apex Legends Mobile is letting Loba grab the banners out of the store, thus actually making her a support legend.
Apex Legends Mobile has just cucked Apex Legends so hard. Like they've done so much cool stuff. They've added so many cool aspects of the game. They've done all this awesome stuff. They have their own exclusive legends. Like I feel so bad for Respawn. It's like they're basically like Respawn is, some guy named Steve who's married, and then some guy named Robert, which is Apex Legends Mobile, walks in and is like, hey, I'm gonna bang your wife, and he's like, oh, okay,
yeah, exactly,
yeah, I'm cool with that. That's basically what's happening to Apex.
The funny part about that comment right there, Wyatt, is like Calvin and I draw a lot of comparisons. Like I'm no longer a Blizzard stan over all the bullshit. I'm sure. We don't need to. We don't got to talk about that.
There's a lot of that.
But I played a lot of Overwatch before that.
Yes,
I loved that was my FPS title before this game. And I don't know if you paid attention to the two new legends in Apex Legends Mobile. They're fucking Overwatch characters, bro.
Pretty much, yeah. Tracer.
The first dude was Tracer, and then the new girl is Lucio.
Yeah,
like it's like insane. Like I literally I have a friend who I will not name on the show because I don't want them to get bombarded, who works for Apex Legends. Like I know somebody on the team, and I literally texted them and I was like, do the mobile devs, did any of them work on Overwatch? Like I have to know. Because it's literally like too uncanny for me at this point in time.
Well, even taking away the legend part of it, if you just look at like the extra modes, man, like have you ever seen a game, like a big game, take a mode, promote the shit out of it, push it so hard, have it launch, and then 2 to 3 seasons later, they don't even name it in the patch notes like Apex Legends did with Arenas? It's
Oh
the
God.
craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. They won't even. Did you read the patch notes where it said on the battle pass? It said, you can now do challenges for battle royale and non-battle royale modes. They wouldn't even name
They
arena.
didn't even say
They couldn't even
arenas.
say arenas. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And what mobile does is they've already introduced like team deathmatch. They have so many different modes, and Apex Legends really needs a third mode. I think like they need a Call of Duty-esque mode where you can go just dumb with it, have like mindless fun, numbing fun.
Yeah, I agree.
They need to do that ASAP. I don't know how we got here, but I just had to rant about that for a second.
No, dude, I'm with you. This is what I wanted. This is what the show is, bro. Like we don't like it's just two dudes like talking about Apex. That's like what it is.
This kind of nice. This is kind of nice because on the other two shows they're so fucking structured and it's just stressful.
Yeah. Well, like I told you, bro. Like I have like a little notepad in front of me, and that's it, bro. I like it was like, hey, we're gonna say this and this, and do it. I need you to have a weapon of the week, and like let's go. You know what I mean? Like we shoot the shit. I don't edit anything unless there's like if like a fucking like car if police sirens drive by, like I'll pause the show and then we'll edit that out. But like that's the only time like Calvin and I just rip, dude. There's been times where like my feed or his feed is cut out and it's just been me talking shit about him for 3 minutes until he pops back in, and we don't even edit that out. You know what I mean? Like we just it's all fun, it's all natural. Oh, natural, baby. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it hard right now. It feels good,
dude. Thanks, bro. I appreciate that. But yeah, no, dude. Like who cares how we got there? Like fuck arenas, man. Like what I was
so much potential.
I got leaked to me that more or less it seems like we're getting control at the end of this season, and then from what I've seen,
or just like a 2-week.
Well, no. So we're getting it 2 weeks again, but it's because they're continuing to tweak it. So from what I've seen and from what I've been slid my way by certain people. Not my friend that works at Apex. For anybody listening to this, for any of you, we're convinced that Dev listens to the show. Why? I don't know how you guys feel.
Yeah,
because like we always predict things and then they're done, and I'm like,
yeah,
what are you doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, like it seems like we're getting that really dumb Fortnite legend next, Catalyst. But then the rumor mill is that the next season has no legend, that they're taking time off. I hope it's to rework a few things, and I hope it's because we're getting control permanent.
I would love that. Honestly, man, like the whole legend thing every year. And you talked about Overwatch. This was my biggest, because my FPS before Apex was Overwatch as well. My biggest issue with Overwatch was they tried to make every legend good all at the same time, and it made no sense. And I see Apex starting to do the same thing where they're like, okay, we got this new legend. We have to make sure they get picked. We have to make sure that like, no, you don't. You don't. Yeah. You want to know what the reality is? There should probably be 10-ish, maybe if that much, legends that are good and can be used in high level ranked and comp, or just comp in general. And then there should be like legends like Mirage who are just have fun. Like, I want to go have fun. Let me go have fun. And I think Rampart fits in that category now. She's such a good have fun legend. I think I would love to see them stop making so many legends and focus on some of the other stuff. Like, they say they have a 10-year plan for this game. You cannot have a 10-year plan for this game with a mode that is basically vacant, that nobody is playing in arenas. You have to have a mindless, like, Call of Duty-esque game mode where you just run around and shoot people and do nothing. And they need to start working on the sound. Another thing. And what the hell is going on with the firing range basically being the same thing since the game dropped? Like there should be so much. Here's what I want. I want Trident races. I want a racetrack with Tridents. I've been calling for that.
I would love that. I would love that.
Give me a Mario Kart-esque Apex Legends Trident racing game where you have like an Octane on the back throwing pads at the other guys, launching them in different directions. How fun would that be? Come on.
That would be hilarious. And you know what? On the note of Tridents, I have a big beef with Tridents in this game, Wyatt, because let me ask you something. Why the fuck can Rampart put Sheila on the back of a Trident, but Watson can't put the pylon on the back of a Trident?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
I mean, yes, it's broken if you could do that, but like imagine that you're just seeing a Trident fly across the map with a Watson pylon on the back of it. You're like, I'm not even going to bother.
Yeah. Like, what the hell?
Like,
Fun fact about Tridents. I have Wraiths. So I started on PlayStation before I went to PC. So I got Wraiths Heirloom on PlayStation. Yeah. Fun fact, if you hop in the Trident as Wraith with the Heirloom and you like get to a little corner and you kind of turn your camera around, you can see that she puts the kunai like inside of the of the Trident is pretty badass. I took a picture of it. I should upload it, but I
should.
always forget to upload it. Just a quick little fun fact about Trident. You'll see.
Oh, so like she like stores it almost.
Yeah, like she stores it in the Trident. It's pretty cool.
Dude, yeah, we had a whole episode about that. Like a lot of people don't realize that you can throw Gibby's dome on the Trident and drive. I actually didn't know. I had one of our viewers inform me, Wyatt, that you can actually throw Lifeline's drone in the middle and it'll heal you while you're driving. I didn't know that. And then I'm a big proponent of, I think it's hilarious. Like we've posted a few clips on the page. I don't know if you've seen any of them, where like we'll hear fighting. We'll be in like the ring, right? And then I'll do the little trick where you throw the heat shield on the bottom. And so it moves with the Trident. You've seen that, right?
Yeah.
And then what I'll do is I'll climb on top and I'll double stack my Caustic mine. So there's 4 mines on the Trident. And we'll drive out of the zone into the 2 teams fighting. And I'll just park the car in the middle of the 2 teams. And then all my mines start going off with the noise from the heat shield. And it's just like chaos. Like I've never seen teams just like freak out. It's like, it's so funny. It's
like a rave, but like without the building and like the drugs and stuff.
Yeah,
it's just people.
I mean,
they do add in guns instead of drugs. So
if Octane's there, there's still a little bit of drugs.
Oh yeah, definitely. But, he's always packing a little bit.
But go ahead.
Let me go. I want to go back to your Lifeline thing since we're hopping around a little bit. Let me just say one thing about Lifeline. What if they made it to where when you drop Doc, he just followed you around, and maybe he can be a shootable target, but he followed you around and just healed like exclusively Lifeline as you were running, and maybe it's like 10 seconds or something. I think that'd be cool,
dude. Well, that's what it does in the mobile. It follows you around now. It
does it in mobile.
Yeah, last update.
Oh
they
my
changed
god,
that.
mobile's so
the dock
much better.
Like follows you around. Yeah. Dude.
Oh my god, I barely touch mobile, and the only reason is because I just hate gaming on a phone. But I would touch it if I had like a controller that I can plug in. And I know, I think you can buy one, but I just haven't bought it.
Yeah. So like, and you know, one of my whole things that like before we knew what the crypto buffs were, like, dude, the drone sits on his back. Why doesn't the drone auto detect people behind you?
Oh my god.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, but on the note of what you were saying earlier with Newcastle, for example, I consider Newcastle, he's a big brain legend. You know, so our show is from Mediocre Gamers. One of the things I always talk about, Calvin is a madman with his gun skill. You know what I mean? He's great at like, you know, there's this whole thing right now with like the co-IGLs where like one is rotations and one is fights. Calvin is like the fights IGL and I'm the strategy, go beacon to beacon, rotation, what's probably safe IGL. You know what I mean? And so I love that. I love that the game is being broken up like that a little bit, but like there's big brain and little brain characters. And I think Newcastle is more of a big brain character. And that's what alludes to his low pick rate, because Lifeline, you know, it does take skill to be a good Lifeline, but at face value, she's an easy character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so Newcastle's not, you know what I mean? And it's weird that like you said, he replaces Gibby, he replaces Lifeline, but he's not even a support legend, even though he fills that role. Like it's so strange. Like I'm happy that they finally gave me another fortified legend, because I'll tell you right now, bro, like I have some friends like fuck Dan, fuck you, Dan, if you're listening to this. Like, you know, if I'm going to play with them on PC, if I'm with 2 PC people, I'm like, I don't care what meta you want. I'm only playing Vantage, Loba, or one of the fortified dudes.
Yeah.
Because I either need a quick escape or, you know, a fortified guy. Like Crypto was my main the season he got buffed. That's the best game I've ever had damage wise was on Crypto.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It made no sense, Wyatt. I was running a 30-30 and a Peacekeeper.
How much was it?
I almost broke 3K. I was like 300 points, 300 damage away from 3K.
Okay. Yeah, that is kind of crazy. That's insane.
And because people didn't know that I'm not in the drone. So what I would do is we would just hear fighting and I would shoot the drone, and then I'd run in and everyone's trying to shoot my drone, not realizing that I'm there. And I'm just fucking either PKing you or just 30-30 headshotting you in that fucking dome. Yeah. You know what I mean? And even my teammates were like, how are you doing that under Crypto? And I was like, I don't know. I haven't been able to recreate it since, mind you. Yeah. But, you know, but yeah, dude, you know, and so a couple little like updates coming. The new event name has been data mined. If you want to figure it out, go on Twitter. I'm not going to spoil it here. Wraith is getting the next prestige skin. I'm really excited for this, Wyatt. I don't know if you've caught onto this on Banner. All the prestige skins are Titanfall themed.
Yeah, 100%.
And supposedly the Wraith one, like you dead ass, like you look more like a pilot than even the Bangalore one.
Yeah. which
So
I
I'm
which
like
I really
super
like.
excited for that.
I really like. I want them to keep sticking with their Titanfall roots because
Mhm.
I didn't know Apex Legends was based off Titanfall when I first started, and I think it was probably like 2 or 3 weeks into the podcast when I really started studying like the origins of it, and I played
Yeah.
Titanfall 2, and it is one of my favorite games. It is
Yes.
so awesome. So I think to stick with their roots on that is so cool. And I
I
haven't
love
bought one yet because I'm waiting for either the Lifeline or the Ash. But when those come, I'll be there with my wallet in hand, ready to go.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I don't know who I'm gonna get it for. Probably the Lifeline, like you said, that makes the most sense. I mean, I'm a Caustic tryhard dude. Like Lifeline was my main, and then I unlocked Caustic, and then like season 2, I was like, like the first season, the first year of the game, like I played 1 or maybe 3 nights a week with homies. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like that's all it was. Maybe 3 nights a week with homies, super casual. I didn't even like. I had the only BR I'd played was PUBG. Didn't have a lot of experience, but I fucking loved it. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? And then like after the second year, I started taking it seriously. But man, I've loved Caustic. I just realized, I listened to one of your episodes of, the Apex, and you guys kind of talk about how like somebody, maybe it was his Watson, mentioned that like Caustic is terrible for ranked. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I disagree with that statement. I disagree. He's a viable legend if you know how to use him. Like I
Yeah.
brought this up a couple episodes ago. Our buddy Dan, fuck Dan, that as I mentioned earlier, he always is like, dude, when you're in a gunfight with Caustic, you panic and you throw your barrel down. Like you can't do that. It's why we lose the fights. And I'm like, dude, Dan, I do that because up until last season, that was a viable way to survive the fight.
Yeah.
Like you can be aggressive with Caustic. I think the problem is people only see Caustic as like a bullshit way to win the final circle in ALGS, or
Mhm.
you're like a chicken shit player. But like I can play fully defensive, like give me the gold res like Caustic, or I can play the fully aggressive Caustic. I just think that everyone's comfortable. Like I think Watson kind of talked about that. Like Seer is not broken. His Watson, when you guys had him on the episode, he was like, Seer's not broken. Nobody just ever gave him a shot. He's not terrible. It's just nobody tried it.
Yeah.
Like I think not relying on Caustic as a defensive legend, you can be, if you have the right team, you can be super aggressive with him. I have some friends, we run Caustic Maggie,
Mhm.
and you use Maggie as the distraction, and then all of a sudden there's a Caustic up your butt with gas everywhere in your own building. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
It
You know what
is.
I mean?
I
So
did interview the first ALGS champion, Onmu. He's now 100 Thieves, but at the time they
oh
were
yeah.
Kungarna, and
Okay.
he played Caustic, and I had him on the show and to get his insight on why they were using the Caustic, and like they were using Caustic Gibby, which was crazy. There's no way either of them could fit on the same elevator, so it was like insane to think about, but they did a really good job of like he did a really good job explaining why they ran the Caustic, and he
Okay.
basically just said exactly what you said, is like he can be used aggressively. You just have to do it in the right way. And I 100% agree. I think some people don't like Caustic because of too much you get a really good and aggressive Caustic in your lobby, he's going to be a problem. That's just a fact.
Well, you want to know what my theory is with why people don't like Caustic, Wyatt?
Let me hear it.
I'm going to say it, and it's going to offend some people, and I don't care. If you're lazy at this game, you choose Octane.
Mm-hmm.
And every Octane hates Caustic because they think Caustic is bullshit. Well, you know what, Wyatt? I'm going to drop this on you. I think Octane, other than Horizon, is the most broken legend in the game. Do you want to know why?
Why? Tell me why.
What did they do after Horizon was out? They nerfed her ability to shoot in her grav lift.
Yeah.
Then they brought it back, but they nerfed it originally. Val can't shoot when she uses her movement ability. You can't keep jump spamming on Pathfinder Zipline anymore. You also don't have good
shoot.
accuracy. Yeah.
You can shoot when you're sliding, I think, right?
Yes. But Octane can pop his stim and still has perfect accuracy.
Yeah.
And I think by the laws of the pre-existing other movement legends in the game, because Wraith, you use her phase, she can't use her gun.
Vantage same way.
Exactly. So I think Octane literally breaks Apex's own rule.
Mm-hmm.
So when Octane mains complain about anything, let alone Caustic, I just think they need to just shut up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things where he's always going to get a little bit of a bad rap because of his kit, but it can be played in a right way, and it can be played in an aggressive way, and it can be really scary for a lot of people to go up against. 100%.
and I agree, but I blame the Octane mains like Noko Puff for the original, like the big Caustic nerf a couple seasons ago, because it's like they're mad that they can't just pop a stim and run into my gas and kill me. That's literally what it comes down to. That's why that character was nerfed into oblivion. It has nothing to do like with ALGS pick rates or any of that. But I really like the state of the game. I really have to give you a shout, you and his Watson and your team on the Apex for that episode, bro. When Watson pointed out that like there's a meta change going on right now, and for the first time it's because of player choices, not because of like the devs. Like there wasn't character buffs or changes. Seer's been good, just nobody was using him. So now the meta is different because of player experimentation. That is a sign to me that the game is healthy for once.
Yeah, I've always said when the game gets to a point where it's no longer on like we have to play this legend because this is what it is, and it becomes we have to play this legend because our guy is so good on this legend that we have to use him. When it switches from you have to use it because the game makes you to where you have to use it because your skill allows you to, that's where you want to be. That's the perfect zenith of where you want to be at in Apex Legends, where it's like all legends can be played. But once again, you can't fall in the trap like Overwatch. Like you cannot try to make every single legend good. You just have to make it to where somebody can pick up the kit and be able to be like, okay, I can be legit scary with this legend. And you got to make it like that.
And then that's what I'm waiting for is, Mirage kind of got a silent buff this season.
Oh, he totally did. Yeah.
But you know what I'm waiting for, Wyatt? I think Mirage would be 100%, and this is a hot take, 100% viable if there was no visual cue as to who the real Mirage is. If they remove that from the game, I think he would be 100% like big time offender. Like I think he could be a top 5 character.
Oh, I agree.
The pros would when you have a perfect computer with a perfect graphics card, people can tell right away who the real Mirage is. If you remove that graphical difference, of like the way the shield flashes or whatever the fuck it is, I can't ever figure it out without a scan. You know what I mean? Or without him shooting at me. If you remove that, if you make it harder to tell, I think Mirage immediately jumps to a top 5 legend.
He had a moment and they brought him back down real quick. And I was kind of wondering why, but I think it's because he is almost like a Caustic without the gas if you leave him too good. And I think he becomes one of those things where it's so confusing. Like when you walk into a Caustic gas or an area with Caustic gas, it's like you're confused because you're trying to see through the gas and you're also taking damage. And like when your brain comprehends that, you're like, oh, this is dangerous. But at the same time, you're like, well, I need to find this thing. So you're having two different thoughts like go through your head at the same time. With Mirage, it's kind of the same way. And I think they realize that and they're like, shit. Let's bring him back down a little bit. But he did get like a silent buff, and it actually paid off. When I was playing this week, one of my friends was playing Mirage and got off 2 reses back to back. Obviously, he goes invisible. 2 reses back to back. We end up winning the fight and then winning eventually the game because the best thing they did was make him the biggest counter to the best legend in the game right now, which is Seer. And that would be funny if every season they just made Mirage the biggest counter to what would be the best legend in the game.
Well, and they made him counter Valk now too.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize that when you dive, she couldn't see the decoys. I didn't realize that we somehow got through 3 seasons of that without it ever that's a disrespect to Mirage mains.
100%. They've been disrespected this whole time.
Have you ever seen that thread on Reddit for the Mirage mains, Wyatt?
I haven't.
There's a whole sub thread on Reddit where it's just like Mirage. It's like Mirage plays, and it's the most ludicrous bamboozles you'll ever see. You got to look it up, bro.
I'll definitely look it up.
Yeah, because my best friend is a Mirage main. He took this season or last season off, but he's a Mirage main, and I play with him, and he does the dummy stuff. But all right. Well, you know what? Wyatt, we're closing in on some time here. I have one last subject for us to talk about, and then we'll wrap it, my dude.
There we go.
So Vantage, she's the hot topic. We've seen some insane plays. Shit, I've done shit I didn't know I could do with her. I do think we're gonna get a hot patch for her.
I do too.
To fix the heal cancel, instant fly, and some of like the weird like auto like the like impossible tap strafing type movement you're getting with her. I do think we're going to nerf that. Overall though, what's your initial thoughts on Vantage, Wyatt?
I think she has. So getting back to Octane, when Octane first came out, he wasn't very good. But when I was looking at his kit, I was like, he has the frame to be a really good legend. He has he has all of the makings. He's just not quite there yet. It's like a rookie in the NFL. It's like, okay, they get drafted. It's like they got to develop a little bit before they got to get a little bit bigger. They got to get better at their position. The game's a lot faster. And then eventually they figure it out and they become a problem, right? Yeah. I think that was Octane. He had the frame, but he didn't have, the buffs yet. And then the buffs came, and it was like he was the best legend in the game for a very long time. Like he was somebody you had to have. I think I think she has the frame. I don't know if they'll give her the buffs. And I don't know what hot patches will come out for, like you said, the res canceling thing. But depending on what happens there, I could see her in the next coming seasons being very good. I'm always hesitant to have any sniper good because I also feel like Widowmaker kind of ruined Overwatch for me. When Widowmaker got buffed, I think it ruined the team fighting aspect of Overwatch, and I really hated it. I thought it was so much more fun when you had two tanks, two attackers, and then two healers going at it like within 5 feet of each other. And then Widowmaker came out, and it was like now you had to be weary of that all the time. And I don't know. I felt like it took away from the game. I think with Octane, I think with Vantage, if you make her too strong, it's going to bother some people. It's going to rub people the wrong way. And I think some of those people might be me, but taking myself out of it and just talking about the legend, she has the frame. She definitely has the frame to be a good legend.
Yeah. I think really like, she launched strong. She's usable. For people like me who aren't good at long range engagements, I love her. I think her kit's good. I do think she's a disrespect to your main, my dude. Yeah. She's disrespect to Pathfinder mains. Pathfinder got nerfed into the ground because one Pathfinder could chase down an entire team and 1v3 them if they were low, because his cooldown on his grapple was so low. Her cooldown is only 17 seconds with that fucking bat. And if you have the gold helmet, it's like 12, dude. It's like insane. Yeah. Like, I mean, my friend, I had a full team of 3 the other day. We hot dropped on a solo Vantage. Like, she broke away from her team, and she was able, like, because of where we were with the cover on the map, to get away from the 3 of us.
100%.
And we were just blasting her, and she still was able to get away. You know what I mean? Like, so, but I do think her attack or her Q, whatever you want to call it, needs to be adjusted. I think it needs to be a little bit longer time between uses. And her sniper, I would say maybe the shots need to have a bigger interval between bullets.
Okay.
I just think for people because so many people aren't used to being worried about a sniper. I see it a lot, dude. Like the amount of times when I'm in just console lobbies, like not cross-plat lobbies, where I'm like able to like just 5 shots in the chamber, just drop 2 people with 4 bullets because they like get shot and like they don't. We can't get out of loot boxes right away all the time. We can't wiggle when we're doing loot boxes because that's actually a bug. Yeah. That's not even supposed to exist in the game, and PC people can do it. Console people can't. I mean, I've gotten so many fucked up, like, I just killed 2 of the 3 members of the team because they were in a box and my second bullet was able to come out so fast. I was able to just drop them.
Yeah.
So I do think they need to change the cooldown time on attack and maybe the fire rate on the rest of it. But I love that the wall, like, you basically get like pseudo wall hacks, like the containers that you can run through on World's Edge, like that are hollowed out. If you're actually in one of those containers and you look at the top of the container, it'll actually still show you where the person is.
Yeah.
There's wall hacks. The data on what shields everybody has is incredible. I think that's something very needed. Also, knowing what the legend you're looking at is very needed.
Yeah, overall, I think she just has a good, solid foundation. I think she's eventually she will, I think, enter into the high-level ranked ALGS meta, and we'll see where she goes from there. But she's one of those legends where I look at her and I say she could be a have fun legend like Mirage, or she could end up being a very solid legend. And I think that's very unique in this game because usually it's one or the other.
Yeah, I really hope we get somebody, these defensive comps, I hope they put Vantage in. Like, man, imagine like 100 Thieves running Newcastle Watson Vantage or Newcastle Crypto Vantage. That's insane. You know what I mean? Or even like, Vantage's gun, it does take a damage boost from Rampart walls. So now you're really in some interesting territory with her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but anyways, everybody, thanks for tuning in. This has been another episode of Pex Pals. Remember, the show is at Pex Pals Podcast worldwide, everywhere, every platform, every whatever. It's pexpalspodcast@gmail.com. You know, we just broke 600 followers on the gram. Thank you so much for that. We're trying to be more active on Twitter. Please slide on through. Wyatt, how can everybody track you down your 2 shows and you if they want to?
Oh yeah. So I do have a personal Twitter, but I mostly just use the Grab My Banner Pod Twitter as like my stomping grounds. But you can follow us if you want to listen to the show at Grab My Banner and at the Apex. You'll find them there on either any platform. If you go to any of our social medias, it's going to be in the link tree. Grab My Banner Pod on almost every single social media. And the Apex, I think this one's newer, so I think it's the Apex the Pod is the @ on all those. But yeah, go check those shows out. Both episodes are going to be coming out, I think, today or tomorrow. So we're going to have new episodes out. And
you do new episodes every Thursday, right?
Every Thursday for both shows. Every Thursday for both shows. Yeah.
All right. And then you know, real quick, we usually do something we call Fuse's Motherload Music segment, where we recommend some music to our listeners. You got something you've been jamming this week? You want to shout out to our listeners? What do you got?
Yeah, for sure. So normally I'm a big metalhead. I'm very weird. I'm either a huge metalhead or I love old country like Hank Williams Jr. But I've been going to a lot of bars recently. Me and the lady have been just stepping out, having a good time late at night, just hanging out, having some good old fashioned fun. And you learn a lot of different types of music when you go out to different types of bars.
Yeah.
And you see like live bands playing, you see all this stuff going down. We've gone to a lot of karaoke nights, and there's one song that is not my vibe whatsoever in any way, shape, or form, but it's Love by Keisha Cole. It's just a whole you ever get those songs where it's just a singing song? Like it's just so good to sing. That is this song. So Love by Keisha Cole has been my jam recently. I've been rocking it.
I love that. Yeah, we're huge proponents of Fuse on the show. I don't know how you guys feel about him on.
Oh yeah, Fuse. He's one of our favorites. We always joke around that he has the second biggest hog behind Crypto, because Crypto has huge hands. So I mean,
easy. No argument there at all.
Crypto, huge hog.
Yeah. So for me, I'm going up the pop punk tree today. There's a band called the Ataris. They have an album called So Long Astoria. That's my choice. Yes, that is named after the Goonies. Those of you that grew up in that era and are paying attention. So that's my choice. You know, Wyatt, you know, as I said, thank you so much for being on the show, bro.
Yeah, no worries.
You. We are a mediocre podcast. So one thing I like to do, you know, we kind of like spit tips or like, hey, like, don't be afraid to try this on the show. So like, I want to toss one out, like something I think is really underappreciated in the game right now. And then I would love you to follow that up with one from you.
Let's do it.
Mine is, in general, the Hemlock. The gold Hemlock is hands down probably the most powerful gold weapon in the game, let alone right now. If you I put a 3-time scope on the Hemlock the other day, Wyatt. I fought a team with all purple shields. 2 bursts was downing people with the gold Hemlock. It is insane. So listeners, for some reason, you know, Wyatt, we talked about guns that don't get a lot of love. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a pro pick up the Hemlock in ALGS. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I don't get it. So that's mine. Don't be afraid to try the Hemlock, people, especially right now with the Vantages and whatnot. There's a lot of long-range counters, troubles you're having. Actually, the Hemlock with Vantage, with her passive, if you put it 3 times on, it will show you the bullet drop. So you can put the Hemlock in single fire and you can rip somebody from across the map.
100%. I'm going to follow yours up, actually. I'm going to go with the Hemlock as well. But we have a long-range meta right now, right? We have this long-range meta where it's like you got the 30-30, the longbow, the wingman, the G7 Scouts back. You got all these different guns, right? Why is nobody talking about the Hemlock single fire? That thing with the 3-time scope is absolutely ridiculous. It is one of my favorite secondaries to run because I'm usually an in-your-face type legend. Like that's I've been playing a lot of Ashe. I might get engaged again. Just quick little, I don't know. Might get engaged again.
She slaps.
Yeah,
so
she
it's
does.
good.
She does. Her feet are curved. It's so sick. So my thing is, if you go single fire Hemlock, if you're one of those people who struggle with the 30-30, but is pretty solid with like the longbow / G7, this is the perfect child where you can get the best of both worlds with that. And once again, versatility, because you can switch it over to the burst. So I'm going to follow it up with the Hemlock.
Good. And And what was it, last season? They gave the hipfire a buff that everybody slept on.
Yes.
So
yes.
dude, that's so the single fire hemlock like hipfire. I always talk about that and the G7 are the two most underappreciated hipfire weapons in the whole game.
There you go.
So okay, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. It's been another episode of Pex Pals Podcast, the only Apex Legends podcast for the mediocre gamer. This has been my amazing fucking fill-in, fuck you, Calvin co-host, Wyatt. Thank you so much, brother, for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you had a ball, my dude.
Oh,
I hope you did. All right, good. Everybody, we'll be back. I'm going to Vegas for 5 days for Psycho Las Vegas. It's a sick ass metal festival. I'll have a new episode with our boy Kodiaks next week. Calvin's in internationally traveling for 2 weeks. That lucky mofo. And I'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody. Peace.